other phone.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It is FF episode 2000.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
2252. And welcome to Mike's weekly podcast. It's not daily anymore because, well, things move too fast in this life and I'm doing a bunch of stuff. And it seems I'm doing it all over. I'm done with being this person that does stuff, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And then there's this podcast that I've been doing for 10 years.
Mike's
and up to
Daily
episode
Podcast
2252.
Yeah!
The podcast that I sing on. You know what's really irking me these days is that my Google Photos doesn't work anymore. Oh, it just finally stopped. I think they killed it at the beginning of June. And I was still able to upload stuff, but then there's not enough room. I take too many pictures. So then I tried the Microsoft OneDrive deal, and that maxes out super fast. Just the unlimited thing. Google, you promised us so much, and you were doing it for so long, and it's gone now. And any suggestions you have for other cloud services that are free, let me know. But it looks like all the cloud services are going to ask you to pay to upload photos too. So I guess it's back to putting photos on my external hard drive. And I'll admit, I get a little lazy. I like to have pictures in multiple places. Have them on the external hard drive, but if you have them up in the cloud too, if anything happens to the external hard drive, if it gets, I don't know, if the house burns down or whatever, and you lose it, you still got it in another place. But I guess pictures mean a lot to me, and that's why I do a podcast picture every podcast, which leads me to what wonderful thing I got to finally do this week.
Here's today's podcast picture.
I had talked about for so long, I need to take a trip. I need to go on a road trip. I need to go somewhere with my lovely lady friend. And I was not able to because work created these chains and harnessed me in, lassoed me down, and said, you can't go anywhere. But now I have. And this is a place, we call it Basil's Cove, actually. That's right, Basil. In tribute to you. It's in Pescadero, and actually Basil never visited this place, but we took him there. We took his ashes there. We didn't spread them there, but we took them there and remembered him. This was actually back in October was when we first did this, and we did this again this past week. And it actually, oddly enough, would not have been a place Basil would have liked because there was a bunch of river rock everywhere. I guess it's not river rock, it's shore rock or beach rock, just all those big boulder type rocks that make it very difficult to walk on. Covered this entire beach, but you can see a picture of it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. So he would have had a hard time walking around. Any dog would have had a hard time walking around on this, but we took him there, remembered him. But oh, what a fun day that was. We stopped, and I'll be posting a lot of podcast pictures from this wonderful trip. We stopped up in the mountains. We took 92 from Podcastro Valley. In fact, we are broadcasting from Podcastro Valley today, the last place on earth, Podcastro Valley 10. And happy Father's Day tomorrow to everyone. If you're listening to this tomorrow or sometime in the future, if you're a dad, that's excellent. You work hard, and I hope you're a good dad. You probably are. But I will say that I will be broadcasting live on the radio station that the podcast picture is at. There's a link at MikesDailyPodcast.com. If you want to click on that, you can listen to the radio show I will be doing from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. as I do every Sunday. And you can listen at that link at MikesDailyPodcast.com. So happy Father's Day. Yeah, all that stuff. Okay, now what I would like to say is that there was this wonderful trip we took, and we're up in the mountains there. You take 92 from Podcastro Valley, cross the San Mateo Bridge, go through San Mateo, head on your way to Half Moon Bay. But at the very top of the mountain, instead of keeping straight and going down to Half Moon Bay, because then you descend into the beach area, well, you make a left instead and you go along Skyline Drive, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. Huge redwood trees everywhere. You feel like you're in Europe in some fairyland. You expect gnomes and trolls to be walking around. It's wonderful. And my lovely lady friend and I went there, and it was like as if by the end of the day, we felt as if we had been gone for a week. It was one of those wonderful road trips, even though we had been gone for maybe 8 hours. And all these great podcast pictures I took, and none of them got uploaded to Google Photos because Google Photos got maxed out. But we went to Harley Farms where they got the goats. I got to pet these little tiny baby goats and with the little kids petting them. It's so funny. They have little horns and they got little teeth. And then the goat eyes. They're just amazing to see. So we did that, had a wonderful time. And I just want to tell you something like that can help you keep a positive attitude. A couple of things about having a positive attitude, which we need so much in this world. Take a look at some of the benefits of positivity. Being positive can help you in a wide variety of ways, both in your personal relationships and in your pursuit of professional success. So, it's important to keep a positive attitude because the benefits include it helps you identify and seize opportunities instead of letting them pass you by. It lets you view failures as motivation and helps you overcome obstacles in your path. This all from Indeed.com, which I've never gotten a job through Indeed.com, but there you go. They happen to be a website that helps you out in some ways to get you to a place you want to be. But here you go. Here are some ways to keep a positive attitude. Be aware of the good things in your life. Focusing on the negative instead of the positive is one of the biggest obstacles you may have in keeping a positive attitude. Fortunately, you can easily start changing your mindset by writing a gratitude journal. A notebook in which you keep track of all the good things in your life. At the end of the day, write down 5 things you're thankful for that day so you can focus on the good in your life instead of the bad. I'll tell you, when I'm focusing on the bad, that usually happens when I can't fall asleep and I'm just lying there awake and my brain is going and it's not thinking of positive things, it's thinking of negative things as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring in Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcast Valley. And that leads to A, loss of sleep, so I'm tired all day, and B, just I'm in a bad mood. Mike goes to a bad place when he can't sleep. Most people have a lot to be thankful for, more than they realize. For example, if you've ever had a bad day at work, you can be grateful that you get to come home and spend time with your family. Or maybe you don't have that, but maybe you have something else. Focusing on things you're grateful for instead of the things you'd like to change can make it easier for you to stay positive. Push yourself to do more each day. One of the main aspects of a positive attitude is believing in yourself and your capabilities. If you want to keep a positive attitude, you should try to test your limits. Do more work today than you did yesterday, and do more work tomorrow than you did today. If you force yourself past your limits each day, it will demonstrate that you are a capable, skilled person, which will make it easier for you to stay positive. I don't know about that, but I mean, what if you pushed yourself too hard and you start failing because you can't handle that much stuff, that much pressure, that much stress, and you start failing a lot, and then you get down on yourself, and I guess the key there is to push yourself to maybe have, then you maybe will be successful at what you are pushing yourself to do, and then you could be happy with your accomplishments. I guess. Describe yourself and your life with positive words. Changing the language you use when you talk about yourself is one of the simplest solutions to keeping a positive attitude. Your language has a lot of power on your mindset. And if you frequently use negative language, it can cause you to view your life in a negative light. For example, if you frequently describe yourself as boring, you'll probably be bored at work. On the other hand, if you describe yourself or describe your job as fun, you'll probably find yourself looking forward to starting work each day instead of dreading leaving your home. That's good, I guess. You know, the one thing when I talk about work on this podcast, I describe it in a negative way because it takes me away from doing this podcast and getting back to the things I like to do in life. So in some ways, I despise my job because of that. But in other ways, I'm happy for my job, A, because I get money for it, and B, because it's something overall that I like to do and that I'm pretty good at. I could feel happy for my accomplishments. It is difficult, though, when you go to work and there are negative people that bring you down. But yes, try not to expect results. Unmet expectations can be a big reason for negative attitude. Imagine you have improved your output at work and expect that your increased performance will result in a raise. If you don't receive that raise, it can be easy to give into negativity, which will impact your performance. If you want to stay positive, you should avoid expecting results when you take action. You should instead work toward your achievements without expecting they will occur. Setting goals and acting toward them without expecting results will help you to stay positive, even if you never reach those goals. If you do achieve a goal, but didn't assume the result was inevitable, your sense of accomplishment will be seen greater. Try to make others feel happy. Setting daily goals can be a good way to find success and to develop a great attitude, particularly if one of your goals is to make someone else smile on a regular basis. It can be easy to forget how much of an impact our actions and attitudes have on other people. If our actions are negative, it will negatively impact those around us. Try to do something good for someone else each day. Offer a sympathetic ear to a friend in crisis, or call a family member you haven't talked to in a while. At work, lend a hand on a project without being asked to, or buy your coworkers a surprise lunch. Making someone else smile every day will show just how important your attitude and actions are to other people who will remind you to stay positive. And understand that everyone has limitations. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. If you focus on people's limitations, it can make it hard for you to stay positive while interacting with others. Focus on what you get to do instead of what you have to do. Feeling obligated can have a tremendous effect on your personal attitude. If you feel like you have to do something, it can cause negative feelings because you don't feel like you have any choice in the matter. Therefore, changing the way you think about your obligations is one of the best ways to have a positive attitude. And practice dealing with rejection. If you're the type of person who doesn't handle rejection well, it's possible you've been avoiding opportunities out of fear of being told no. Handling rejection correctly is a skill that you can develop, and once you do, you'll have an easier time staying positive even when you've been rebuffed in one of your goals. The best way to learn how to deal with rejection is simply try for things where failure is more likely than success. Ask for that promotion you've been waiting for, even if you think your boss will say no. Or apply for your dream job, even if you don't quite yet have the right qualifications. And this is from a job website, so that's why it is saying things like that. Once you've dealt with several rejections, being told no will be a lot less scary than it used to be. Then, when you're rejected, you'll be able to keep a positive mindset and see the good in a bad situation. People who are able to deal with rejection will find it much easier to keep working toward their goals and stay positive while doing so. So, here is another thing, because bicycling is something you might want to do to help keep a positive attitude, or walking, or staying healthy. They didn't mention that in this article. Staying active, trying to eat healthy, that can make you feel more positive. I'm not a huge bicycling fan, but perhaps, the Bay Area, everyone's riding bikes. Riding a bike is a fun way to commute and get in some exercise. To get the most out of cycling, here is what you should remember from the National Safety Council. Check that the tires are inflated properly. That's a tough one for me, because I need a whole lot of air to keep this body up in the air. Also, make sure the bike is equipped with reflectors on the rear, front pedals, and spokes. Wear neon, fluorescent, or other bright clothing. Yeah, that's another reason why I'm not a bicyclist. Cannot stand that type of clothing. I do not want to wear anything neon or fluorescent. Sorry. Plus, choose a bike helmet that features MIPS. That's multi-directional impact protection system layers, which allow the helmet to slide slightly, dispersing the force of the impact and reduces head trauma. Wow! Here is something else. Pet companionship can be healing. There is a sanctuary in Hawaii. It is a cat sanctuary. The mission of the sanctuary is home to more than 600 rescued cats. And as you remember from previous podcasts, my lovely lady friend and I have been harboring, we were nursing back to health a feral cat. And this was a feral cat that, basically a local pet shelter. I guess we were deputized by this pet shelter to take care of this cat. And with their blessing, we took care of this cat. And it was a pretty good experience. But, with a feral cat, if you're rescuing it or trying to, in this situation, you're never going, the feral cat, as soon as it's out of the cage, it's gone. It goes and it's feral again. But at least if you are helping it get better, it will, the local shelter agencies will fix the cat and, make the cat thus not able to have kittens, thusly decreasing the feral cat population. But rather than euthanize the cat, they allow people to take the cat and then basically care for it as best a way you can with a feral cat, because they like to wander. But this cat keeps returning to the house. Rodler keeps returning. But this cat sanctuary, 600 rescued cats. Protecting the endangered island birds, though, is also what the sanctuary does, interestingly enough. They have a team of doctors, paid staff, volunteers. They prepare the fully vetted cats for adoption around the world. Our priority is animal welfare and giving rescued cats the freedom, safety, and space to interact with humans. This is called, I guess there's more about that at lightYourSparkle.life. Okay. And this is all in the Costco connection that came out over a year ago. So it's a bit dated, but... And finally, on Mike's Weekly Podcast... No, we're not going to start calling it Mike's Weekly Podcast. We're going to hopefully start making it daily again. But you can tell me what you think about any of the topics we cover at 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM is Mike Matthews. Daily is what this podcast tries to be. And the podcast picture, my lovely lady friend and I at Pescadero at this wonderful beach. Oh, we did catch the sunset north of Pescadero in Half Moon Bay at the beach we used to take Basil to, the late great Basil the Boxer. And what a sunset. Oh my gosh. It's also why I'm upset with Google Photos, is I can't instantly access it through my PC like I used to. So, but the pictures are there in my phone, and I will eventually get them onto the podcast picture, possibly. We'll see. It makes it so much more difficult. I have to go through all these freaking hoops. Frustrated. When bad leaders abandon their people and their duties, even with threatening circumstances and uncertain outcomes, they create an environment in which the reestablishment of trust is nearly impossible, says E. Arthur Self, PhD, from the book Good Success, Learning Good Lessons from Bad Leaders. Betrayal is hard to overcome. It takes a high degree of commitment and maturity to return to normalcy and productivity. Once the followers perceive an act of abandonment as betrayal, their attitude change and restoration of confidence becomes unlikely. One of two events usually occur. Either the leader who has bailed out moves to a job where the abandonment is unknown or will have less impact, or those who experience the abandonment/betrayal will determine that the bad leader they know is better than the bad leaders they don't know. They reconcile to the status quo. Interesting. Hey, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Look, Podcastro Valley 10, look who's here. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing? I'm fine. How are you? Good. Y'all haven't done a podcast in a while. That's true. Yes, it's busy times. And then you know, when you don't do a podcast for a while, and when you're doing a podcast like this that requires a lot of your time and work, and then you don't see any results. This goes back to something I think we talked about just a little earlier in the podcast. Setting goals and not always getting the desired outcome from the goals, yet still remaining positive. It's tough, and you don't want to keep doing the podcast. So that's all in a nutshell. Is that too much information, Benita? Yeah, that was a whole lot of information. Thanks for telling me. You're welcome. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mark. It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Tell you what. I think doing podcasts is stupid, and that podcasts should just go away and disappear like those really terrible looking pants people wore like yesterday.
Yeah, you know, podcasts, apparently listenership has gone down. Something like 6%. Oh, happy Juneteenth. That's today. I thought of that because I know this guy who's African American, and he was like, yeah, Juneteenth, great. It's on a Saturday, a day we get off anyway. And I laughed. I go, did you write that? Have you submitted that to a late night talk show host? They'd pay good money. That was funny. So that guy wrote the joke, not me. He's funny. So he had that wonderful... I bring all that up because he and I discuss podcasting all the time. And he's always telling me how big podcasts are getting, but I'm sensing they're starting to go down. Podcasts maxed out with and started to fail because of Joe Rogan. And because people just were like, well, what else can you do? You're recording a show, and then I listen to it, I play it back, what else? And there isn't anything else. I mean, yeah, you can do stuff like, I got a website. You can email, you can participate. We got live chats. But see, everybody's jumping onto that other thing that I don't know the name of, but it's where you're having live conversations, where it's more interactive. Because I understand you're a listener and you're not interacting with this. You're just hearing it passively. But then again, sometimes we just want to be passive. I don't know. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, I make the delicious root beer. Have some right now. Excellent. Let's wrap up the show. You always know it's time to wrap up a show when someone pours root beer. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. And with more on where to reach me, here's A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!